pick a niche earlier because it took me so much trial and error to realize that when you don't have a powerful of enough niche, you're almost irrelevant. Like you just said, you're just existing in the middle.
In this episode, I talk with Bob Vieira. Bob is a real estate investor and founder of Universal Short Sales. He partners with investors and realtors across the country to convert short sale leads into closed deals. Bob was born and raised in the small town of Old Forge, Pennsylvania, and currently resides with his wife in Tampa, Florida. In this episode, we cover what is a short sale, what does the process look like, and how long does it take, what to consider before starting that process, and how realtors and investors can help homeowners that need to go through the short sale process. I hope you enjoy. Now here's the show. How's it going, Bob?
Good, Chris. How are you?
Good. Good to have you on. We got connected through a buddy of mine, Brant Phillips, and I was asking him, I was like, hey, do you know anyone who knows anything about short sales? Because I got this thing and really want to help them out, but I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to learn it. Beyond that, I probably wouldn't do a good job anyway, and I'd be doing a disservice. So your name is really the only name that popped up. Got you plugged into that transaction, and man, you saved the day for them. You did a good job. So I'm excited to have you on and talk a little bit more about short sales.
I remember that deal. Yeah. Short sales are an interesting niche. Typically, whenever they come up, you don't really see a ton of them. So a lot of people, they're not really sure how to handle them. So they're tricky.
Especially over the last several years. I mean, 2008 through 12, I'm sure the volume is drastically different than it was been over the last 5 years. And who knows, maybe we'll see an uptick in that going forward over the next couple of years. Maybe we'll get into that in a minute. But to back it up a little bit, for those who are new or maybe they just don't quite understand exactly what a short sale is because they haven't had to do one and it hasn't been prominent in the market over the last several years. What is a short sale? Can you break that down?
Yeah. Short sale in its simplest definition is you need two things to happen. Number one, the seller needs to be at least 30 days behind on their payment. So the first component is mortgage delinquency. Second component is negative equity. That means the as-is value of the property is worth less than what they owe on the mortgage statement. So, quick example, let's say I own a property and I'm falling behind on the mortgage payments. Property's worth $500,000, but I owe $550,000 to my mortgage company. That means I'm underwater, I'm behind on payments, so the bank is going to let me sell for the $500K that it's worth. And they're going to forgive the debt. They're going to forgive the 50 grand balance, and it does not get recorded as a foreclosure on my credit.
Okay. So that, something like that could be a very good avenue to get their home sold if they bought over the last, say, 9 months, 12 months, peak of the market, where some markets, not all, but some markets have seen negative year-over-year growth. This is nothing like 2008, but that is a fact that we are seeing that on a very small scale. So those kind of folks that they bought for some reason or another, they're behind on their payments. A year later, maybe they worked for they were part of the big tech layoffs, and now they've got a house that's worth a little bit less than what they paid. So that puts them as a potential candidate for a short sale, right?
Yeah, and that's actually a really interesting example you just brought up because we're starting to see that a lot right now, Chris. I mean, I have 3 to 4 deals that we've gotten in the past 2 months. That's that exact situation that you just described. They bought when things were, really high, low interest rates, chaos, pandemonium, bidding wars. And now, unfortunately, they're in a situation where they have negative equity because they paid so much for the property just recently. And like you said, job layoff, divorce, whatever the case is making them behind on their mortgage payments. So they're in a short sale situation.
Now, does that mean that the bank will even approve it, or how does that work? Because I would think some banks may just be like, sorry. But then again, maybe after 2008, they're a bit more open to at least having the discussion.
Bingo. They're definitely going to be open to it. The big thing is they're going to want to see on paper, they need to see the mortgage delinquency. They need to do an appraisal, make sure there's negative equity. And then honestly, Chris, as long as you have a good enough hardship, divorce, job loss, something that you could prove, they're going to let you do a short sale.
Okay. Now, short can be, at least the way I perceived it before really learning what it is, it can be a deceiving word on understanding how long the process is. So,
Yeah, I'd say.
how long does this process take? I know it can vary wildly, but on average, what would you say the process duration is?
Yeah, there's nothing short about a short sale. So let's just get that out there. You're absolutely right. There's so many factors. I hate even answering this question, but on average, I'd say 4 to 6 months is a good rule of thumb, but it depends on how cooperative the sellers are going to be getting us financial documents. It depends on the loan type. A lot of people, Chris, they focus on who the bank is. Oh, I heard Wells Fargo is easier to deal with than SPS, Bank of America. That's not necessarily the case. One of the biggest factors in determining how long it's going to take is the actual loan product that you're doing a short sale on.
Yeah.
For example, an FHA loan takes way longer to do a short sale on compared to a traditional conventional.
Why is that? Is that the underwriting guidelines that they're because these banks, they package them up. They're adhering to certain standards just so they can package them up and sell them. But by the time they're actually going through this, it's probably already in the hands of the end buyer of the note, right? Not always, but I would imagine a lot of times it is. So what makes a FHA loan different than maybe a straight conventional or some other type of loan product?
It's a government, man. There's a lot more red tape you have to jump through. There's more steps, more red tape. For example, in FHA, the bank has to put you through what's called a financial waterfall. The financial waterfall, they're going to say, okay, before we even look at Chris's short sale offer, we're going to review the seller's financials. So you open up the short sale, you have to do a modification, even if the seller wants to sell. So what that means is 30 to 60 days of document collection, Chris, before they'll even look at the short sale offer. And that's
so really, they're doing what they can to save you. At least initially, is that right? At least in that case,
yeah. Absolutely. Think of it from their perspective. Would they rather, just from a business perspective, would a bank rather take a loss on their investment or make it so Chris could pay us every month?
Yeah, clearly.
So, yeah.
And of course, the seller cooperating is a pretty big variable too. Can you short sell pretty much any type of loan, like a VA? Can you short sell a VA loan?
Yep. Okay. Reverse mortgages, VAs, conventionals, anything.
How'd you end up finding your way to specializing in short sales? And maybe if you want to run into that, backing up a little bit further, how'd you get into real estate to begin with?
Yeah, so when I graduated college, I was selling tires. I was a corporate tire salesman. Right. I was probably I was miserable every day waking up. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was always interested in real estate. I was probably the worst employee on the face of the planet.
I was tired of being the Michelin man.
I just couldn't do it. I was bad at it too because my heart wasn't in it. I'm just an entrepreneur at heart. So got my real estate license while I was selling tires. And then the second I passed the exam, I just quit. I jumped cold turkey into real estate just as an agent, not necessarily like I always knew I wanted to be an investor and get involved on the investment side. But just to start, I was an agent. Like any new agent, I was running around chicken with my head cut off, just trying to strum up business. And I started randomly landing on short sale listings. I had no idea how, it was just random. So I learned how to do it, Chris, just through trial and error. And then I realized this is a huge pain point I need a niche anyway, because I didn't have like an actual niche that I was noted for. So it was kind of just a perfect storm. I specialized at a local level in short sales. 2019 rolls around and I rolled it out nationally.
Yeah. There's a saying, riches in the niches, the middle is
100%.
crowded. So if you can find that pain point, it's almost this cross section. It's high value, but also high pain. So it's not that people won't go there. It's just they don't like to, and you're going to find fewer folks there. So if you can absolutely own it and be an expert in it, which you have, it creates a huge business opportunity. And yeah, you've done well with that.
Yeah, for sure. Riches in the niches. I love it.
So from homeowners and agents that are representing homeowners, what should they consider before ever even going down the short sale process?
That's a great question. So you need to consider what I like to say to sellers, I love to ask the question, in a perfect scenario, what is the end result if you could have your way? And if the answer to that question is, I'm just out from under this mortgage, I don't care about making money, I could just move on with my life and avoid foreclosure. If that's the answer, then a short sale is for you. If that's not the answer, for example, maybe you don't really care that much if you have a foreclosure. Maybe your main motivation is to make a couple bucks. If that's the case, I'd say don't do a short sale.
Yeah, and the first example you gave, that was the situation with my client. Like, he was just like, "Get me out of this! Like, I just want to get out."
Yep.
Yeah, not have a bag. I don't care what else happens after that. Like, just get me out. And you were able to do that. So in those kind of situations where you do get them out, and obviously it's below what they owed, does that impact their credit going forward, or is there something that's going to do they still owe that balance? So say in the example you had before, there was a $50,000 gap. Do they have to pay that back? Is that on their credit? Is it loss? How does that work?
So what you're referring to is the deficiency. Just to back up and go back to my example I gave before to paint the picture. I owe $550,000. I sell my house for $500 via short sale. The $50,000 balance is a deficiency. In a short sale, if the short sale is done correctly, in that short sale approval letter, the first thing I train my staff to do, we open it up and we look for the lender to put in writing that they're waiving their right to collect the deficiency, which again is that $50K in that example. As long as that's in writing, you are not on the hook for that $50,000.
So if that is not in writing, then by default, they can go after you for that extra 50. It's not that they would, but it'd be safe to assume that they're probably going to.
They could absolutely come and sue you for that deficiency, that balance.
Yeah.
So
in worst case, really wreck your credit for quite a long time.
So that's another question. The credit is a little bit different. There's a lot of people that want to convince people to do short sales, and they'll say, save your credit, do a short sale. I see this all the time. It's just not true. There's no perfect situation where you could do a short sale and save your credit. A short sale does have a negative effect on your credit.
Okay, so that shows up on there?
Absolutely. But the biggest benefit is the way it's recorded. So obviously, if you foreclose, it's going to say on your credit report, it's going to show as a foreclosure. In a short sale, if you complete a short sale, it shows as debt settled for less than amount owed. Mm-hmm. What that does, Chris, let's say I do a short sale, a year or two later, I want to go buy another house. So then my new bank pulls my credit history. That's going to send a message to my new creditor that, hey, Bob, slipped up, fell on a short-term hardship a year or two ago, but he made it right. He figured out a way to get his old lender as much money as possible, and then he didn't just let the property foreclose. So it just makes you look like a much better borrower having done a short sale compared to a foreclosure.
Okay. And what about the other situation, like the not so good way it shows up on your credit?
So it's going to deduct points from you. There's no situation where you do a short sale and it doesn't ding your credit. So if you have a perfect 800 credit score, it's going to bring it down a couple of 100 points. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, being delinquent on your mortgage alone is definitely
Yeah,
going to ding it. But I'd
absolutely.
imagine it's far less impactful than a foreclosure.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, it's actually, I get the question a lot, especially from homeowners. It's tough for me to, there's no exact science. The best way to look at it is if you have a really high credit score and you do a short sale, it's going to bring it down a ton.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a low credit score to begin with, it's going to ding it a little bit less.
Okay.
That's the best rule of thumb you could use.
Is there a percentage of files that qualify, meaning they're delinquent and they are underwater and they do just want to get out? Is there a rough percentage of success rate on getting a short sale approved?
I don't have it broken down into exact percentage. The best answer I could give to that is if on paper the short sale is approved by the bank as an option, and as long as the appraisal doesn't come back at like $1 million over what the property's valued, we could get it done 100% of the time.
Yeah. So basically, if the bank says, "Hey, we're willing to talk about it and work with you on this," then at that point, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and the right things align up, it's pretty much a for sure deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, let me actually give you an example of a situation where there's nothing we could do. We're working on a short sale right now in Western Pennsylvania. Really nice property, really nice neighborhood. On paper, he is absolutely qualified. The appraisal came in. We did a great job, streamlining everything. However, when the title came back, the gentleman has hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of IRS liens. The problem is the IRS refuses, to do anything about them. There's nothing this guy's attorney can do, and the bank is saying there's no way we're covering this. A
Yeah.
situation like that, we're not going to be able to get this short sale done. So there's definitely factors that come up that allow us not to be able to do the short sale.
Yeah, because the IRS will be superior to all other liens, right?
Bingo. Yes.
Yeah. IRS gets their money. So
sure do. The IRS does or nobody does.
Yeah. Agents that are working with homeowners, or maybe they're trying to buy a property that's with a short sale and the other agent's not really proficient on that. Is there a way, like, do agents get paid in this transaction? Is there a way that they can still earn commission with a short sale transaction?
Yeah. Yeah. The bank actually pays the full 6% commission on a short sale.
Okay. So
Yep.
they just have to be willing and patient to see the process out and either do it themselves or work with someone like you that basically can take that load off of them so they can go out and keep their client in the loop and also take care of other business, right?
Yep. So for the real estate agent and a short sale, for the listing agent, everything is exactly the same as you would do in a traditional listing. The only difference is your commission is coming from the bank. And then obviously it's a hell of a lot longer process, but
Yeah,
everything stays the same.
it's good. So, what, at least from an agent standpoint, any advice on, say they would actually like to work with you, at what point would they want to bring you into the fold? What information do you really need to make a decision if it's going to be worthwhile pursuing?
Yeah. When I set up my company, my main goal was to make it as easy as humanly possible for agents. So we don't need anything. All we need is a literal introduction to the seller, and then we run them through a qualification process. That's it. So get us involved in the very beginning. As soon as you think that there's a possibility that a short sale is the best exit strategy for the seller, get us involved from the get-go.
Love it. Got a couple questions that I ask everyone that we get on the show, and at the end, I know you got something you want to share too. But if you could go back and give advice to your 20-year-old self, what would it be? You're thinking
Pick
about
a
the
niche
tire
earlier.
business, right?
Go head into selling tires. No, I'm kidding. I would say pick a niche earlier because it took me so much trial and error to realize that when you don't have a powerful of enough niche, you're almost irrelevant. Like you just said, you're just existing in the middle.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's so much, amazing advice, and not to be cliche, I don't want to give the cliche advice. I would say business strategy, pick a niche early and just go with it.
Love it. What book or books have greatly influenced your life?
Rich Dad Poor Dad, but everyone probably says that. I love 10X by Grant Cardone. Secrets of a Millionaire Mind is amazing. That's actually one I'm going to reread after this book I'm reading now, which is the autobiography of Ben Franklin. Awesome book. And probably every biography I ever read. I don't know what it is, Chris, about biographies, but I'm like a nerd when it comes to those. I love reading those because it's almost like, it's almost like someone who's successful is writing a book about their life and they're telling you step by step what to do. So pretty much every, biography book I ever read was super impactful.
Yeah, reading biographies or autobiography, it's like when you ask the question that most people hate to receive, can I pick your brain? Well,
Yeah,
you can do that for $8 to $15 or whatever.
it's
Some of the
crazy, man. That's
greatest minds in
really
the
what
world.
it's like. It's especially the autobiographies. I mean, they're really cool.
In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
Last 5 years, I would say time blocking. That changed everything for me. So I would always use a to-do list and I would make the list the night before, but something felt off. I'm like, okay, I'm checking everything off, but I'm still like, I don't feel efficient enough. I still, there's so many gaps throughout my day. Time blocking changed everything for me. I actually learned that what book talks about that? Was it Deep Work? I think it might have been no, it was The Effective Executive. That book made me realize I am not being effective or efficient enough, and I need to time block my whole day, and that changed everything.
Love it, love it. Yeah, that's been huge, very impactful for me. Because, like you said, the task list, you're just chasing tasks,
That's it. Yeah.
and then so
Yeah.
much you end up burning a lot of time.
Also, Chris, if I could add something else, it's
Yeah.
literally within the past like year or two, I started using a power list. I got that idea from Andy Frisella on his podcast. You just make five tasks that are non-negotiable. They have to get done. And I just started doing that less than a year, maybe within a year. And that's been super impactful too.
That's on a daily basis or a weekly basis,
Da- Daily basis, a daily power list, because I was doing it on a weekly basis. And again, I was getting my stuff done, but I'm like, it just, you don't feel as effective.
yeah. No, no. I know exactly how I know exactly how that is.
Your power list daily? Do you have like a list that you have to get done every day?
We do. So we follow EOS. So we do the weekly L10s, which that gives me my list for the week. And then I time block specific activities and they vary from day to day on like, am I going to contact, operators? Am I going to contact investors, like passive investors? Am I going to do my follow up? So I time block that. Am I going to work on accounting and whatnot? But,
Gotcha.
that coupled with the task list, so it's kind of a hybrid method.
Gotcha.
It probably could use some improvement, but the time blocking, which I've done and then fell away from, I did that after the one thing. So the one thing really put that into place for me, and then Atomic Habits, I think, just reinforced why I needed to get back to that. But for some reason, it just fell out, and I went to Tony Robbins Business Mastery, and then I put it back in place, and it's permanently on my Google Calendar now.
I never read Atomic Habits, but you're not the first person to bring that up. I think I have to read that one. I have to add that to the list.
No fluff aside, it's one of the most tactically impactful books across life.
Wow.
And I was able to. So Tony talked about this kind of a gross habit I had, but chewing my nails. So I remember Tony talking about a way that he stopped chewing his nails because he had the habit too. I've had it since a kid, and Atomic Habits talked about a very similar methodology on how to. It didn't, I don't think it mentioned chewing your nails, but it was a similar methodology of how what Tony used to actually do it. And I was like, boom, I did it, kid you not. Day after, 24 hours, never chewed my nails again. Like, it was just the weirdest thing. So that 30-plus-year-old habit gone in 24 hours.
That is literally one of my worst habits. I chew my nails. I think I have to read this book and just skip to that part.
Yeah.
Just to figure
It's
out how to
the
stop
whole
doing it,
thing
'cause I
is
do it
solid.
constantly.
Yeah, you'll love it.
Wow.
How can people reach out to you? And I think you got something to share too, right?
Yeah. Reach out to me on social media. I'm really active. Facebook, PM me on Facebook, reach out via Universal Short Sales Facebook page. And then my email, which I don't know if you could share my email because the spelling of my last name is tricky, but it's just Vieira Companies at gmail.com. It's VIEIRA companies plural at gmail.com. But I mean, really, Facebook, shoot me a friend request. I have a really good short sale group. We'll talk. You could join that and just keep in touch that way.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
what's the event you have coming up? Or
Yeah, of course.
yeah,
Short sale course. Short Sales Accelerated. It's created. We're actually completing the sales page now. We're getting the pricing in line, the pricing strategy, but the course is for investors and agents. It is a deep dive. It's not, one of these courses that kind of gives you the fluff, but hey, after you do this course, I want you to take this course and pay me, but then you still need me afterwards.
yeah.
It is absolutely not one of those courses. It's broken down into 3 phases. We do short sale fundamentals. So if you've never done a short sale before, you don't know what it is, it's a course for you. Or if you're an expert, it's still a course for you. Second thing, we talk about lead generation, how to get pre-foreclosure, short sale listings and leads coming in. And then the third phase is a 12-step system, a science that I use in my own company, breaks down how to do a short sale, A to Z, every single step.
And is
So
this like a certification course?
it's not.
Or is it more of a full suite education to equip yourself to really run short sales through your business?
That's all. Yeah, that's all it is. There's no certification. Maybe I'll create one. You could put like a badge at the bottom of your email or something. But I mean, really, this course is going to make you money, and it's an absolute knowing short sales is an absolute necessity coming into the market that we're shifting into now, especially within the next couple of years.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in. If you got any value out of this at all, please like, comment, subscribe, follow. I'd love to hear from you. And for more real estate related content, market observations, upcoming events, you can go to investedx.com and subscribe to our weekly newsletter. I promise you won't regret it. Thanks again.